Alafia, welcome to the Ask Yeyefini show. It is my pleasure, my honor to be here today. Thank you so much for taking this time out of your busy schedule to be on the show, the last show of 2020. Very, very important time for us because this is thriving in the times in thriving in tough times. A review of 2020 because I felt I was compelled or inspired to really speak in terms of what 2020 was impacting the world. And to me, at the beginning, I my statement was I see that this could be something that we asked for unconsciously, just energy wise. We had been going through a period where we were taking a lot for granted. We were busy in our jobs. We weren't taking time with our children. We weren't taking time with our personal development, with our lives. And it seemed to me that it was an energy that we vibrationally we asked for. I didn't realize it was going to come that heavy, but it came, and I think that was like maybe 2 weeks in the universal timeout that I wrote that I came on one of my shows and stated how I felt that it was really a time for us to really go inside and use this time to connect to our children, to ourselves, to our world, to our community, to who we really are and what we could show up as. So thank you, thank you, thank you for following me all these years on the Ask Yeyefini show. I think it's been 12 years now that I've been doing this show. Welcome to my beautiful, wonderful guests that we'll introduce in a minute. Now, why is it that I wanted to invite these guests? To me, I watch each one of you who are my guests and some of my most impactful colleagues and personal friends. That's why I thought it would be a great opportunity to share with the world on this platform how each one of you have taken the COVID-19 universal timeout and made it one of the most fruitful years and time in your life. Some of you have been on my show. Some of you, this is the first time, but I've been watching every one of you because we have different relationships. So I just watch you from afar. I just kind of hover and I watch it, and I'm so impressed. I just watch you with admiration and respect of how y'all have changed the world to show a higher vibration of yourself. You have showed up for me, you've showed up for your children, for the world, and in the relationships that we have. So that's one of the things. For me, this was the first time since my initiation in 1971 that I had the opportunity of being in a place of complete disconnect from people. This was when I was a Yawo for 9 months. This is the first time that for 9 months I had the opportunity of really just going within, disconnecting to the regular or the normalcy of my life. And so it was very impactful for me to be alone, completely alone. It was just like when I was a Yawo. The only person or thing or effect that was in my life was my shrines, my God, my space, and my son. And so for me, it was really, really very impactful to be completely alone, not to get any hugs from your family, from your friends, not having anyone to come and to visit or to hang out with. For me, that was just like being a Yawo, just being initiated or beginning a new view of yourself. That's what initiation is to go into the new aspect of you. So this is what it was. So I was forced, of course, to retreat, redefined with hopes of realigning with a higher, different frequency of myself. I remember I went off on someone I was talking just from the place of fear that I was like, if this happens, I don't know what's going to, I mean, I was really, the day before, I really just realized, you know what, this is not going to go away. And you not being connected to your spirit is not helping you or your students. So that's what brought me back to realize, you know what, this is about being a Yahweh. Just shut down, lock down from friends, family, everyone, and just do a self inquiry. Analyze yourself and see how it is. And what came out for me was a deep understanding of the need for community, for realigning with others, with co creating the world that you want to see, by joining forces with people who are on the same frequency, who are doing the rituals, who are using the medicine, people who are constantly thinking about the positive things of life. So that's who I aligned myself with community that could help me when I was feeling like I'm in this by myself. So I reached out. And that's why today some of you are on this show, because y'all were able to give me some insight. And I watch your lives because y'all are leaders, and I watch how y'all were able to manage it. Even if in the background you were falling apart, what you were doing for the world, for your family, for your children, it was letting the world know that, look, we got this. Because fear is not going to help us. We got this. And so that's why I'm so honored that each one of you are on this show. Y'all are the most impactful people during this time. So we have with us the wonderful, and we're going to just, I'm going to read your bio, and that way you'll be able to, there's the bio. I got your bios. And I'll be able to introduce you. So welcome to the show, my beautiful, wonderful guests. It's so many. I've never had this many guests, but it's that kind of show. So I am so happy to have each one of you on this show today. Just continuing to do what you do with the world. Y'all have changed the world. And that's why, because a couple of you said, oh, I don't need to be on the show. Yes, you do. You have something to say that I respect and I want to share. Y'all know how I am. If it works for me, I want to share it with the world. And so that's why I wanted y'all to be on. And so let me just read the bios here just briefly. I pretty much know everybody. Y'all can go to everybody's website, I guess. We have with us Dr. Yeyefini, the owner of Communiversity, the director, the owner, the thriver, the encourager, the mother of Asheire.com. Welcome, Dr. Funlayo, to the show. You are an inspiration to all of us. Your godchildren are just constantly uplifting you, but I think that one of the things that I've seen you do that is really connected to what I'm speaking of is the fact that you realize that we need church. We need to come together to breathe, to sing, to cry, to have meditation together. And that's why I am so honored to have you here. We also have with us my dear, dear friend, Funlayo, Funlayo Ayolaye, my master Reiki teacher, the vibrational changer, she doesn't like me to say that, but the president and the principal of the Children's Rites of Passage program. She has been doing an amazing program where we have been able to really hold the interest of the children during this challenging time. So Funlayo, thank you so much for the work that you're doing, and you'll be able to speak on that. We have with us also Gail Felix. She is one of the nurses that had to hold people's hands as they died. and still come home and deal with her children and know how to put hope every day when she goes to work. She would have on the suits, the plastic suits, and I watched her and I prayed and I just like, oh my God, this woman is so amazing, because in everything that she was doing, it was positive. So Gael, thank you for being here. I know you're going to work. She's on the mission now. She's on her way to the hospital. Master teacher, master, working on her, all of the titles that come with being an emergency nurse, teacher, managing entire units and looking at families and telling them it's going to be okay. That's earth changing. Dawn Bauer started out as a comedian, making people laugh, and found a way of using NLP to help everyone that she meets in her practice to recognize and to see that you can change the stories that you believe you are about. So, Dawn Bauer, welcome to the show. You've been on the show before. You have a following of my family, of my group. The work that you do in neuro-linguistic programming is amazing. How you can change what you believe of yourself by just sitting down and visualizing it. That's powerful. That's powerful. Oyabumi, priestess, took this opportunity and, like a gangster, grabbed her children, raised her children, took them to the different levels of vibration, different cities, just holding their hands and letting them know it's okay. And in the midst of that, had the audacity to graduate as a diviner, as a priestess, who she's helping people right now with divination. So all of you have your websites that everyone could go to and see the products, the things that y'all are doing. I want y'all to speak on that. Leslie Oshuntola, master, 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 master at helping people to understand how to come out from grief, how to help people to understand that molestation, pain, anger, frustration, all of that are just symptoms that will trigger you to become a better expression of yourself. She works with children, she works with the military, she works with people who are feeling like they're falling apart. She's one of those that catch them and tell them it's going to be okay. That's why I wanted you on here. Welcome, Leslie Oshuntola, priestess of Oshun. We have with us two wonderful, wonderful people. We have Damien and Sahai, who father and daughter. I am so proud. Sahai is an 18-year-old that took her high school graduation and became a baker, an entrepreneur. She wrote a book. She made me some cookies that I wouldn't even share them. I gave people pieces of the cookie. Would you like a piece of the cookie? Y'all got to get her book. 18 years old, when children were falling apart, this young lady took the stress and the trauma and all of that of disconnect from her work as a lacrosse athlete. And rather than go and freak out, she took it and made a book. That's why I wanted her here, so that she can encourage other children that are going through this, young people that are going through this, to know that you can take your lemons and make lemonade. You can take your minuses and make your plus. It doesn't matter. It's not a whole bunch of old people. Young people are doing it every day. And then Baba Damien, this is her father. He is an amazing, amazing man. An engineer who has taken this opportunity, this time, to go deep within himself and come from, what is it, from pain to perfection, I think is it, and is doing remarkable work of helping men come from pain to purpose. Amazing, amazing. He is also a chef. But the thing that I saw that I wanted him on the show is the fact that there are men, and sometimes it's difficult for men to be to come to a place of transparency and humility and opening themselves. And that's why I wanted you on the show, so that other young men that are going through whatever it is that they're going through in their lives would be able to see and know how is it that you did it and how you can help others with the program, with the show that you and your wife have. So thank you everyone for being on the show. I welcome you. And the questions that I want to ask you is, of course, I have several questions, and I want you to just listen to the questions, and then at some point I may ask you, or if you feel like you need to jump in or to answer it, if it rings true to your spirit, then do so. So the questions that I have is, what event or situation changed your perspective on, no, sorry. The first one was, what did you think about the pandemic at the beginning? What did you think about the universal timeout? I shared with you what I felt. It was like, ah, but it was a gift I felt. So what did you think about the pandemic at the beginning? The next question is, what event or situation changed your perspective and your perception of it? What changed it from wherever you were? Then how did you maximize the opportunity to withdraw, redefine, and realign your life to the new normal of 2020? So this is a new normal. How were you able to maximize that? And then the last question is, what advice would you like to share about your success financially, emotionally, and globally? What advice would you like to share about your success during this COVID that changed you to have financial wealth, emotionally, and globally change the world? So I want to first ask Dr. Fulayo to please speak on any of the questions there. And then I want to ask Gail, because I know she has to leave to go back and put on her magic suit. So Dr. Fulayo, please, how did you feel about it
Thank you
first? Go
so
ahead. Y'all have the question.
Yes, thank you so much. First of all, it's just such an honor and a pleasure to be here with you and all of my distinguished brothers, sisters, colleagues. It's always beautiful to be able to come together in community and to answer your call and your invitation to be on your show. As many of us, and as you said, the beginning of all of this was frightening, quite frankly. And it still is. It still is. And one of the things that I really want to share is that being courageous doesn't mean not being fearful. It means that you move forward in spite of the fear. And so that's really been what it has been for me, is that I've been moving forward in spite of the fear. I've been, when everything first started, I was a postdoctoral fellow at the University of California, and we were sent, home. We had to clean our. They didn't tell us to clean our offices out, but interestingly, when it all started, even before it was clear how serious it was, my spirit told me that it was more serious than we might think. And so I actually went and cleaned my entire office out. I brought everything home even before we got the notice that we had to do that. And as things progressed, I began, of course, like many of us, to get a little bit nervous about what the next step was going to be, because the assignment that I was on in California was a temporary assignment. And I knew that it would soon come to an end. And I started to think, okay, if I'm going to get another position, how am I going to do interviews? How am I going to do all of these things with all of this happening? How am I going to be able to get another position? How am I going to be able to move into a new space? And really, I knew even before all of this happened that ultimately I wanted to be independent. Ultimately, I wanted Ashe Ire to be my life. I wanted to be able to dedicate myself to the community. And so it came to a point where, and this is, real testimony, because we all got an email, all of the postdocs, which we thought was telling us that our contracts had been extended. And the long and short of it was that that was an error. It wasn't telling us that. So I thought when all of this started that I would be staying in California another year, that my contract had been extended. Um, and got the notice actually just before, a day before my birthday in September. I got a message from our office administrator saying, thank you so much for all the time you've been here and it's been great. And, bye, basically. And I was like, excuse me, wait, y'all didn't get the notice that the contract was extended and I'm going to be here for another year and all that. Y'all didn't get that notice. And, long and short, found out that that wasn't the case. And I panicked for a moment, but ultimately, I really saw it as an opportunity to step into what I really wanted to do. When I really looked around and said, look, there's no security. So suppose that the security that's supposed to be in academia, even with tenure and all of these things, is no longer there. Some of that is being taken away as schools are losing funding as this continues to go on. And so I took the opportunity to take the bet on myself and to say, I know that I want to be independent. This is the time to do it. And so I stepped out on that faith and founded Yeyefini Community, began to offer classes online, the same classes that I would have been teaching in person that people have been asking me to teach, took it online, really just stepped out on faith. And thankfully, blessedly, the community has supported so wonderfully. We have grown. We have, in just 6 months, over 500 students have registered into the institute. We have had we're in our 4th cycle of classes right now. And it's just been the best thing that I could have ever done. And as well, have been able to buy a house. And so I just recently moved to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And one of the things that I share so deeply with the community is, look, this ain't the University of California money that bought this house. This is Yeyefini, my community. This is my people who did this, right? Who supported, who really held me, and who, because I was holding them. And so, as I just, close, I just want to say that for all of us, this is still a challenging moment that we are in. It's still a tough time. And again, being courageous doesn't mean not being fearful, but it means stepping forward in spite of the fear. And so I pray that we all continue to be able to step forward and step into those things that are nearest and dearest to our hearts, even in spite of the continued uncertainty that we're facing.
Ashe. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ooh, landlady. Landholder. Yes, thank you so much. That's why I just had to have y'all together. It's just this is amazing. The world is watching this all over. I have clients from Dubai that write me and says, "Oh my God, I saw the show. It was amazing." So we are making an impact. You have made an impact. This is just a platform for the world to know that y'all are doing it. Y'all are gangster out there. Yes, yes, yes. So then, now I would like to ask Gael Felix. I'm not going to cry again, like my wife.
Greetings, everybody. I, Yeyefini, thank you for inviting me on this show. When I saw the invitation, I said, wow, okay. You sometimes you never realize what you do, how it has an impact on people, but that you're always being watched. So I give thanks for being here and providing the opportunity. What I would like to share with everybody, I'm going to kind of share my perspective as far as being in the clinical settings. I am a registered nurse. My specialty is critical care. I've been in critical care for over 27 years. So I deal with the intensely sick clients in the healthcare field. So in the beginning, when this started happening, I'm in New York City. So, we were hit initially. We didn't know what we were dealing with. In the clinical settings, we were getting these patients. Okay, they have this pneumonia, this flu thing, okay, they're on these ventilators, they're having trouble breathing. And then we just realized these people started dying like, I'm laughing, but it's really so intense. They were just dying before your hand, right in your hands, in a matter of seconds. Everything that you know with all the years of knowledge, experience, could not save these people. And I know there are many people on the social media platforms and friends and colleagues I know, it's like, oh, they did this, they did that, they need an event. Unless you work hands-on with these people and in these scenarios, I'm going to tell you, this is nothing I've ever experienced in my entire life. And I am a holistic practitioner as well as a bachelor's of nursing clinician. So I have all different perspectives of how diseases and what have you manifest in people and all the different treatment modalities, from the herbs and medications that they use in the clinical settings. Nothing was really working for these people, and they were dying. You can have about 4 of them die in your hands within 12 hours, and then you'll have 20 in the emergencies ready to kick that same bed. So in dealing with all this, not just clinically, because there's so many levels to this, and it's hard to try to like share everything all at once. You also had to deal with your support systems from your administrators and managers. Like, how are we dealing with these people? How are we able to protect ourselves? Where can we get these PPEs? Everything was just running out of supply. The resources that we had to care for these people were not in access to us. And it caused a great deal of fear, because you didn't want to get exposed and you didn't want to bring this home. You didn't want to get sick. And yet you still had to take care of these people at the same time, these clients, they needed you. You had to deal with family members who had not seen their loved one who went into the ER because they had a little tough time breathing. They would never see them again. They would call you at the nurse's station, and you try to, maybe if you could, bring your cell phone in there, maybe do a video call so they could see their loved one on a ventilator, paralyzed, sedated, near dead. And that's the last vision that they had of them. You have to take in constant death, one after the other. Emotionally, it was extremely draining. I felt like I was on a battlefield every day. My world of how I cared for patients changed. You couldn't just run into a room and just say, hey, let's take care of this patient. You had to don on all this gear, which was very uncomfortable. You felt claustrophobic. You're sweating. You don't even know what you're wearing is even going to protect you. Then you have to I personally had to form my own rituals of cleansing myself energetically before I went to work, while I was at work, when I left work, in my car, before I came home, before I saw my children, before everything I did, there had to be a ritual, just cleansing myself physically, energetically, spiritually, every day. I really had to go a lot into a social mode in order to stay strong. I couldn't allow a lot of my emotions show. I had to deal with this every day, and I had to be strong for my family. I didn't allow my family to go anywhere. I did everything. I shopped. I did everything so nobody in my family got exposed. And I had to still go to work every day to deal with what I was dealing with what was going on. We didn't know it. I can't even describe what it's like. It's scary of the unknown. There are many aspects of it, even on the medical side, how the doctors were treating these patients, which I don't want to get into. I deal with a population of mostly African Caribbean. And, you saw trends of types of patients that were getting sick, and how they were being treated. So it brought a lot of things to light. And I realized that as a whole, as a people, we need to really take time to take care of ourselves, take care of our health, eat properly, exercise, supplement your food with good vitamins, minerals, live food, exercise, go outside, be in nature, appreciate your loved ones. Those are the biggest lessons I've learned. Enjoy life. Stop listening to a lot of the news out there. Those are some big lessons. I've also learned to being more self-reliant. If some of you know me, I'm always about, survival preparedness. Well, honey, I had to implement a lot of what I taught in order to deal with it. Again, we were in New York City when this was happening. So resources were minimum. You go to the market, shelves are empty, waiting on long lines. Everybody's trying to get bleach, a Lysol. Okay, we don't need that. We have nature, we have essential oils, there's a lot of things that we have to learn to think outside of the box of what we're normally used to doing, that we've been doing for thousands of years. And then we let some marketing companies say, if you don't have this, you lacking. No, you're never lacking. You just got to use another angle to make sure what you're doing is safe and it's going to work for you. For me, it's all about going back to basics, tuning into nature, knowing how to take care of yourself without relying on corporation marketing products and what have you. Spending time with your family, less time with TV, looking within yourself, like what's my purpose here? What is it that I really need to be doing? And where am I going with this? How long are we going to stay in this state? Things kind of quiet down a little bit here, but the numbers are back up. I've been at work and yeah, the ICUs are getting full again. I'm not going to tell you it's psychologically extremely challenging. I'm tired, but I am thankful for many of you on social media and my friends who call me for the prayers. I think that's what given me the strength to continue on. I don't want to get emotional, but I'm appreciative for many of the people, whether they know it or not, for helping me get through. And I hope I've been able to help many through the process too, because I did get a lot of phone calls. My mom's in the ICU. What do I do? To get through this. So just know that we're going to get through this. It is going to be somewhat of a new norm. And it's going to be okay. Just focus within yourself, as I have. I've connected a lot more with nature. I've exercised a lot more. I wake up very early in the morning, so I don't have to be around too many people. Just to be among the trees and the birds, just watching nature. And I would say financially as well, focus on what's really important, short-term and long-term investing, and learn to be a lot more self-reliant, because a lot is going to change. A lot is going to change, and we have to get back to basics. We have to start building community again. We all have to have a common goal and stick together. There's too much division that's going on in this world, and I think that's part of the reason why we still are dealing with these challenges. I think that's the biggest lesson. I think that's what COVID-19, the timeout, the pandemic, whatever people wish to call it, I think it's to teach us that we need to be unified. There's been so much division, political division among friends and families. I mean, we got to heal. There's a lot of healing that needs to be done. And I think until that comes into the realization of everybody, we're going to constantly have these challenges going on. I think that's the biggest lesson. But definitely, we just need to take a lot more time to invest in ourselves, self-care, our family, our friends, appreciating life, appreciating nature. Don't take anything for granted. And, eat healthy, grow your food, take your vitamins. I think if people kind of stick along with that, no matter what kind of enters into your system, your body will work really hard to fight it. And most of the people who have gotten sick do have a lot of pre-existing conditions. It's not 100% absolute. However, it is a major factor. Um, just be careful, take care of yourself. Um, I'm sure there's so much more I wish to add, but if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer that. And thank you again. I truly appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, thank you. That's the reason for this show, is
Mhm.
to have you share and know that you are aware of the community that prays for you and lift you up, and your friends that call you and just sending you energy. You're connected. That's what we need. Just as you say, we need each other,
Mhm.
connect to
Yeah.
each other. So people need to know, because Gail, you have always been right there with telling us exactly how to get ready for pandemics. You have been the one telling us you need to make sure if a hurricane is coming, or if a situation comes, make sure that you have X amount of dollars. You had workshops in Florida on how to prepare. I still have my kits and I renew them every year. Gail, I mean, the boots, the raincoat, all of the things. You have always been about surviving, growing your own food, doing what it is that's required. So that's why we have this community. So thank you so much for the work that you do. You're a hero. You're a hero to us. To me, I know, and to everybody that know you. So if anybody has a question, put it in the chat, or if any of the guests have any question that you have for Gail, say it now, because as I say, she's got to get ready to suit up. No questions? Ah, we just love you.
Thank you.
We've been
Love
watching
everyone.
you. Yes, yes. Sacrificing.
It's hard work. It's hard work. Mhm.
But you painted a picture that some of us can't even imagine. We just say, okay, we see that people are dying. Some of us have had friends or relatives that passed, and you're painting a picture that give us a little more. It sets a new color, a new light into the importance of taking care of ourselves and connecting to each other. That's what I've learned this whole universal timeout, is the importance of collaborating
Yes.
and getting back to community.
Yes.
It is we alone. We're not going to do it.
Yes.
One hand washes the other,
Hmm.
and they both wash the face.
Yes.
So we gotta have that.
Mhm.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Gail, and your beautiful children for just
Mhm.
supporting you in this, and having a preteen and a little one. I know.
God.
It's,
Yeah.
so my heart just goes out to you. So I'll be
Mhm.
watching you. I'll be checking on you, calling you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Mhm.
much. Other questions? We love you. Oh, that's just awesome. And we didn't cry. So the next person that I would love to speak to address at this time is to Sahai. Sahai, how did you take the challenge that you had?
So with COVID, I didn't really think anything of it when it first happened because I still had school and I was in my junior year. So I was like, oh, it's whatever at this point. I'm probably going to go back to school soon. So then I realized you weren't. I was like, okay, I guess I'll just do school online because I had school to really keep me busy. And I think for our generation in general, that when things like this happen, we learn not to care because we have so many things happening, like we have school shootings, we like experience things, so like everything happens to us all the time and we just learn, we just have to deal with it, we just have to adjust to it. And I think after junior year when it was ending and we were taking our tests, it was really the summertime. We had to like sit down and think to ourselves like, wow, we really can't go anywhere because like we don't have school, we have nothing to do. So it was just like, what am I gonna do now? Like it was crazy. And like what I did personally, because I play lacrosse, and so that really distracted me. I don't know about other people, but that's what I really used as my main point of like getting my stress out, getting different things out. Like I just used lacrosse, and then lacrosse kind of ended because of COVID. And so that's when I started baking because I was really, really bored. And I was like, I have nothing better to do. So I'm just gonna bake. I always wanted to do it. Why not? And I was also thinking about like the future because I'm going to college next year and I'm gonna be by myself. So I was like, I should learn how to cook for myself and do things like that. And so I started making vegan stuff for my family, and we're really well connected with Orisha Oshun. I am surviving vegan, and I decided why not? I should share it with them. I think it's good. I guess I should do it. And she came to me with the idea like you should do a book, and I was like, a book? I can't even read a book. So I was just like, I guess I'll do it. I mean, why not? It felt like peer pressure, but supportive peer pressure because they're telling me to do a good thing. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I felt motivated. I wasn't even in my right mind when I was writing the book. I was like, I'm just going to write a book. That's all I'm going to do. And so I finished it so fast too. I didn't even expect to finish it. And then it's getting so much like recognition. And I didn't know it was going to do so much for so many people because I just did it out of boredom. But I'm glad it helped and motivated other people to like do things and try new things because that's what I did. And I guess I'm still doing. I mean, I just cope by doing what I do every day. I do my schoolwork, I go to practice, and that's it. I had a job, and that was also fun, a good like stress reliever because it was with what I like to do with animals and things like that. So I think a lot of people should just stick to what they're doing, especially if they're struggling, because that will help you not lose your mind. It helped me not lose my mind. Cause like just keep with my daily routine and not get lost in the mayhem or in the chaos because then I know I'll lose myself as a person. And I didn't want to do that, especially with what I have in mind for my future and school and things like that, just to keep me balanced and centered. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Ooh, that was so awesome. I love you. Hi. Ooh, this little baby is just grown up to be a baker. She's my personal baker. Yes, she's gonna make my wedding cake.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes, yes. So thank you so much, Sahai. That was awesome that you say, stick to what your purpose is, stick to what you're doing. Just take it to the next level. And it just comes in easy because you took your passion and followed it and know that and you were able to collaborate with someone else. You didn't say, "Oh no, I'm not going to do that." You just took that is just beautiful. You are inspiring. You're an inspiration to me, to everyone on this panel. That an 18-year-old who witnessed school shooting in her school can come through that by staying busy and finding ways of coping, finding ways and not giving up, and using the skills and the things that she knows and the way that her family raised her to eat healthy, to use this as a way to just this is just I'm just so humbled. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My future is secure with young people like you.
Yes.
And I know y'all are the next generation. Y'all gonna run things. Y'all gonna be like, no, you gotta have vegan cookies and these cookies that you need to have. So thank you so much. Everyone that's on the panel, please buy her book. Let us know where you can get it, Sahai.
At iamsurvivingvegan.com,
The book is called
Vegan Delights by me, right? Vegan Bites.
Vegan
Vegan Bites. I don't even know what it's called. Yeah, that's what it's called. Vegan
That's
Bites.
awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And trust me, I am her strongest fan. The cookies are very good. Because sometimes you eat vegan cookies and they kind of fall apart, and you want them like, really?
Yeah.
I don't want to know. So don't tell anybody your secret, but whatever that secret is, hook it up, sister. Thank you so much. Wakanda forever. Thank you, Sahai. Thank you so much. So, anyone feel like coming in, you can, or I can just call in someone else. This show is just someone call and ask me, how are we going to do this? We're just going to let spirit just lead us, you know. So thank you, Sahai, for just a beautiful, inspiring. Oh, you're so cool. Thank you. So beautiful. Anyone want to speak? Okay. Well, I'm going to ask Efunlayo Ayolaye, and how has this universal time out inspired you, helped you financially, emotionally, and globally to find success in it? Because you're amazing. You look good.
Oh, thank you. I tried to clean myself up. Thank you for having me on the program, and I am humbled by Gael's talk and inspired by Sahai, as well as Funlayo stepping out there to do what she wanted to do. For me, at the beginning of the pandemic, I was in shock because at my age, I had never experienced anything like a global pandemic. I mean, who would have ever thought of experiencing that? So it was unnerving, to say the least. And I'm a generally calm person. And so for me, it was an interesting experience to see what was going on. But then and I'm thinking, oh, it'll be taken care of in a couple of weeks. And then, like everybody, when it wasn't taken care of in a couple of weeks, then I began to wonder, like, okay, could this be the end of us, and what is going on? And in order to really deal with that, I had to go and look like, okay, so you're this teacher of spirituality saying, where's your faith? Where's your confidence? Where's your understanding about that everything is in divine order? The things that I talk about to myself and say that I believe in, and then strive to share with and support other people in, I had to really come to grips with looking at myself real hard and going deep inside and reevaluating all of those things, because my life has not been without challenge, but I've never faced anything like that. And so like this that we're still experiencing. So it really was, for me, when it comes to the time out part, was like, hold on, time out. You need to do a self-assessment here, and it wasn't just once, it was over and over and over again, going deeper and deeper into who I believe myself to be. And what is it that I really believe on, and what do I have to hold on to carry me through this? And as a result of being put in that situation along with everybody else on the planet, I had to rediscover some aspects of myself where I was not always doing as well as I could have. And as Gael said, I eat pretty healthy. Anybody knows me, I try to watch my diet and I have all these things I do. But could I do more? Absolutely. Could I do better? Absolutely. And I had to really look at that in terms of, the so-called holistic life that I was living, and just really put myself in check and try not to go too far and be an extremist, but at the same time, do what is really called for to take better care of myself. I'm fortunate that I don't have any underlying conditions, but at the same time, who knew that this virus would be as rampant as it is? And it's not just about, so when they said people 65 and older, I said, okay, I'm locked in, I'm doing whatever, and began to really examine myself. And what I found was that, I do believe in what I say that I believe in. I do believe in what I teach. I just needed to reaffirm that to myself in looking at the face of death and sickness and that kind of thing. And so that was really helpful to me on so many levels, to be challenged in that way, to really look at myself. And then as far as when people were saying, oh, when you're sitting at home and you're just nothing to do, that was not my reality. I was busier than ever doing the work that I do, with people calling for just support and for readings and for Reiki and Reiki healing. I was teaching Reiki classes like nonstop. And that was helpful because one of my tenets of life that I learned many years ago is to teach is to learn twice over. So everything that I was sharing and teaching, I was reinforcing within myself. And the thing about me, I'm generally a person, I pretty much stay busy, but to be as busy as I was, I had to re-examine that. What are you doing? Why are you so busy? And you need to have more balance in your life. You know, it's not just work, work, work. You know, life is about balance. And without balance, you put yourself in disequilibrium. And then that's where you can throw things off spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and then wind up falling into illness. Because as we all know, we're spirit beings and everything happens on a spirit level. And if your spirit is not balanced, eventually that's going to trickle down into the physical. And being faced with this virus, with this pandemic, that is not where we would need to be. So it gave me an opportunity to really do deep self-analysis on all different aspects of my life, looking at what I am truly doing. So sometimes, you know, we go on automatic pilot and we can't afford to be on automatic pilot. We have to always be aware. We have to be woke. You know, we can't just be doing things for the sake of doing. So I started back reading more labels again and really looking at what are the supplements that I'm taking and looking at, you know, some of the routines that I had for myself. And is this really all that I need to be doing? Can I do something better? Can I do something different? And so it was really a wake-up call, a wake-up call. And so if I had any advice to give, it would be that the main thing I learned was that we can always do better and that we always have to be re-examining what it is that we think and believe, and what we believe and think about is what we're creating in our life. And I had to get focused on what is it that I want to create. And I guess one of the scariest moments for me was being at my stage of life as being a seasoned citizen, was that some of the things that I still have on my bucket list, like, wow, I may not get to do those things. But then I resolved that, you know, I've had a wonderful life. So if I don't, but then I started feeling a sadness about the younger people, you know, my son and people his age, my grandson and people his age and younger, and like, oh my gosh. And then I realized, wait, you know, life is whatever it needs to be for whoever's life it is. You know, so we can't put judgments on, oh, the young people, they're just being stifled and the this and that and the other, and the older people, whatever. No, it's not about that. That's a bunch of stuff that we read in books and see in movies about what we think life ought to be. But in reality, the thing about life is, what is your destiny? What did God send you back here to do? And I realized that one of the things I was sent back to do was understand who the heck I was and then to live in that truth. And so going through that week after week after week has helped me to really come to grips with who I am, who I want to be, who I'm becoming, as this spiritual being, you know, and who I am in relation to all the other spiritual beings that I have the opportunity to live and be around. And so that was the biggest thing for me, and to recognize that there were aspects of my life that I had been neglecting, you know, not because I didn't realize it, but because I didn't put as much importance on every single aspect of my life. That's the biggest lesson I have learned. And being busy is one thing, but being busy and purposeful is a better thing for me, you know. So those are some of the realizations, along with a lot of other things that, you know, but in keeping with the questions that Iolode put out. And then you mentioned, Iolode, about the Rites of Passage program. And we had talked about it for many years, and I had taught some of the classes with the teenagers and everything. And then we began to say, okay, we can't put this off. Let's go ahead and do the Rites of Passage program for the younger children, for the kids, the tweens. And it was one of the most incredible experiences to work with that, because it helped me to go and see what is it that if I were a tween, what would I wish I had been taught about spirituality? And tweens are very different from teens. So I had already been working with the teens. And to go to the younger group and try to make some of the spiritual concepts that we teach be able to be understood by them caused, again, for me to go deeper in myself to understand those concepts again, because, you know, they always tell you when you write something, write it as if you were talking to a third grader or whatever. And so it was very incredible. And then the team of people that we were able to put together to work on this were really incredible people, you know, and we learned a lot from each other. And because it was during the pandemic, it was sometimes we talked about the impact that we would be able to have on younger people and the impact of going through the process of putting a curriculum together for the younger children was, you know, helping us to understand ourselves a little better. So everything happens for a reason. I truly, truly believe that. And so my message, I guess, if there was one, was to be purposeful. Don't just do something for the sake of doing, asking yourself, and all the spiritual downloads that we get. And, you know, you really need to examine some of those things about why Spirit is giving that to you. What is the message to you? And it's not just about maybe you or have the opportunity to share it with other people, but the message comes to you first. So it is for you. Examine that instead of just always, you know, putting it out there before you even have an opportunity to digest it for yourself. So the pandemic for me has been a great blessing, a great teacher, and helped me to wake up to a lot of things that I had not been as grateful for as I could have, and things that I had taken for granted.
Sure. Thank you so much. So much. That was amazing. Was awesome to know exactly to change the different aspects of yourself. That's
Yeah, yeah.
that is just to just watch it, check it, self-inquiry. Thank you so much, Efulayo. You're an amazing teacher, amazing friend. Thank you so much, colleague,
You're welcome. Yeah.
supporter. You know, you're an amazing principal of the school. Thank you so much. That's
You're
amazing.
welcome.
Yes,
You're
yes.
welcome.
And Sahai is one of your students, so you know.
Yes, she
Yes,
is.
yeah,
Yes,
that's your little baby.
yes, indeedy. And I want my cookies.
Thank you so much. I'm having a little challenge with the plug. That's why you see me moving around, trying to see why it's not charging. Anyway, so thank you, Efulayo. Yolaye. Love you, love you, love you. Thank you so much.
I love you too. Thank you so
No
much for that.
questions there. That was beautiful. That was just like music. It was just going like that. Just going, just sliding. Thank you so much. So now we're going to ask my sister from another mother, Dawn Bauer. Yes, Dawn.
Oh man, it is so good to be here again. And listening to everybody that's already talked, it's just to be in this company is such an honor. So thank you so much for having me here again. For those of you that don't know who I am, you can watch another YouTube video. The last time I was on here, we did a whole NLP process, and you can just follow along with that process, and it was really powerful. So it's a little bit about NLP, but I'm glad I got to go after Efulayo, because she and I have laughed several times about how we're just like, where's this universal timeout? Like, we are busier than ever, you know? And so I can so relate to that, and just staying in the beauty of that even too, you know, that's okay. And so just kind of backing up a little bit, coming into this year, before any of us knew what was about to hit us, I had set an intention and labeled this year the year of unapologetic joy for myself. I had a couple challenging years, and I just really realized I needed a lot more joy in my life. And boy, that was so useful, because what it had me doing throughout this whole year is really challenging myself to find joy in even the smallest of things, and not feel guilty about it. The unapologetic part of that was really, really important. Just not feeling guilty or shameful about having joy, even in the middle of all of the crap, excuse my French, that's been going on this year. So when the pandemic, first hit and things were shutting down and there was no toilet paper at the grocery stores and people were taking things off the shelf, I immediately, my response was, there is so much fear going on. You could feel the fear. You could cut it with a knife. And I realized I had been there before personally. And so it's like, if you've been there before, you can smell it right away. And then it was like, well, what's mine to do? I'm not a nurse like Gail. My mom is a nurse practitioner, so I could understand some of the stuff she was talking about. I used to be a teacher. I felt, I was feeling the pain for all the students that was going through what they were going through, the teachers that are going through what they were going through, the parents that were having to stay home and try to work and deal with their kids going to school. And so, I was feeling all of that, but I came into this year in a very different space of the work I had done when I first actually learned NLP in 2017. I was coached in NLP, and I was already on the spiritual path before that, and doing my spiritual work and meditation, and still feeling lost. And I think we can know and understand and really understand our oneness with spirit, our oneness with God, our oneness with each other, and still have the human tendencies of the fear coming up and the blockages and the limiting beliefs and patterns and behaviors, because we're human, we're spirit having a human experience. And so I didn't realize, I thought I was right on track with all my spiritual work. I didn't realize how much work I still had to do. And so when I was coached in NLP, I had already gone through such a journey and such a growth since 2017, and then became an NLP practitioner to help other people, experience this as well. And I've worked with 3 people that are on this show today, and it's just such beautiful work. But because I did that work, I came into this year in a different place. And so I realized that what was mine to do was to not sit in the fear and not feed into it and add to the fear, but whether it was in my own private space or just being with the people that I was being with, whether it was one-on-one with coaching or a roommate or a family member, just being in this space of no fear, being in the space of knowing the truth that, like Yeyefini has said over and over again, this is perhaps unconsciously we brought this here, and this is all on purpose. And then my second thought after getting through that is like, okay, this is what, I got excited. I was like, this is what's going to bring us together. This is what's going to unite us. We're all going to come together. Everybody is, fighting this virus together. The whole world is fighting this virus together. This is the thing. This is the thing that's going to unite us, and we're going to finally have peace on earth. And as we know, that did not necessarily happen. I don't know if not enough people were watching Yeyefini's show and to know that it was supposed to be a timeout. We were supposed to go back within and figure out what was ours to do. But we had so much division, especially in this country, in so many ways, race, politics, and then that really became hard. That really became hard and sad, seeing so many people forgetting that we are one, forgetting that we're together, forgetting to look at other people and remember that when we're seeing another person, we're seeing ourselves in that person, and watching people be hurtful, whether it's with their words or physically, was challenging. So that was kind of, for me personally, going through the year. As far as work related, business related, it was interesting because I'm going to school to get my master's in consciousness studies, and also studying to be a spiritual practitioner right now, as well as have been building my NLP coaching business. And in January, when I met Yeyefini in San Francisco, I was at this point where I thought, okay, I'm getting bigger. I've been bartending to pay for going back to school while I'm building my coaching business. And I was at that place where I was trying to decide, when is it time to let go of this job that I can just trust that everything is going to fall out. And so I was excited that I got laid off, because that answered my question. And, with the unemployment that I had for the weeks that I did, I was able to just put everything into NLP, which wasn't hard to do, because, like Afunlayo was talking about, it was, people were coming. They were looking for help, and it really wasn't anything to do with COVID. People were like, okay, I'm ready to work on myself. I am ready to release these patterns, these habits, these beliefs that are holding me back. And I want to move forward in my relationships. I want to move forward in my career. I want to do something different. I don't want this job anymore. It's not serving me. And people were starting to look within and look at, what do I really want? What do I really want out of this life? Because this job is slowly killing me, or this relationship is slowly killing me, and so helping people really understand, how can they shift that? How can they shift that thinking and really step into who they came here to be? So it has been quite a journey, because by the time the restaurants were opening back up and begging me to come back to work, I said, I don't have time. So I get to be a coach full time. I now have 7 other coaches with me, and it's just beautiful. We're building this community. We're going to have Afunlayo actually is going to come and do a workshop with us in January, with the clients that we have. And actually in December too, I would love to invite everybody on this call and share this with everybody. As soon as our slots are filled, we are giving away free NLP sessions in December. We know the second wave came, and it's just been really hard on people. So a lot of people don't know what this is. And so this is a great way to experience it. It's a free 30-minute session. You'll get to do a process. Again, go watch that other YouTube show and go through the process yourself, so you can kind of get a taste. But if you just go to the website, actually, it's best if you go to the Facebook page. If you're on Facebook, the Mobile Lighthouse Facebook page. And then you'll see a link on there to fill out that form. And maybe we can get that link out to everybody too later. But just tell us when you're available, and we will find a coach. We'll match you with a coach and give you a free session. It's absolutely, no strings attached at all. We just want to give this to people right now. So, and if you want to keep working with us, great. But this is just really just giving this to as many people as we can until our slots are filled for December. So you can talk to Yeyefini, Dr. Funlayo, or Afunlayo. They've all experienced it themselves. So.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the gifts. Because if you're out there listening in the audience globally, call, get it. Mobile Lighthouse, get it. Free NLP. It is amazing. It will change your life.
It will change your life. Absolutely.
Change your life, because you will have the tools necessary to make the change that you already wanted to do and just needed the vision to how to get there. So Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sister.
You're welcome.
Every time that I can get you on a platform, I love it. I just love it. Love your spirit, your energy. the wisdom and the brilliance that you bring is just amazing. And it's just collaboration. I love it. That's what I got out of this
You.
universal timeout, is how to stretch out more and do more and be more. Thank you, Dawn, for that. Was just amazing. All of the health practitioners out there, NLP, y'all are doing such an amazing, amazing job. For me, this gave me an opportunity myself to just dig deep and look and see what is it that I can do and be better of, as Efulayo was stating. And for me, it's cute that the corona virus, the name corona came up, and then people started calling it Rona. And it's a name that I had. That's my birth name. And that name brought so much pain and trauma that when I hear Rona, it was like, now I love Rona.
You're cute, little Rona.
Yes. Only thing my Rona is with an H. So you have helped me with that, and my other coaches, and with all of you at Funlayo, Gael, all of y'all have helped me to encourage me to let you know Rona was a good old little girl. Don't listen to what, the expectation and the talk of others. You have the power to change and to shift anything that you want. So that was something that I wanted to share earlier that I didn't. So anybody can call me Rona and I can answer to it. Before it was like, don't you call me that. My name is Fulayo. And then my name from Fulayo went to Yeyefini. Yes, but you can call me Rona as long as you want to, sweetheart.
Awesome.
Thank you. And Dawn, I'm so grateful for you giving away this, to just giving back, because that's part of always having, is always giving.
Yeah.
When you give, that is the one part of your soul, is to share, is to give. That's what we came on earth to do. And to give lovingly is amazing. Thank you so much.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because I'm currently reading The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. And one of the laws talks about giving. And you know what? Can I just share this one little thing in here that I was reading?
Yes.
It was talking about the difference of self-referral versus object referral. And I think this goes in alignment with what I was talking about. So the experience of the self, capital S, or self-referral, means that our internal reference point is our own spirit and not the objects of our experience. The opposite of self-referral is object referral. In object referral, we are always influenced by objects outside the self, capital S, which includes situations, circumstances, people, and things. So like the coronavirus. In object referral, we are constantly seeking the approval of others. Our thinking and our behavior are always in anticipation of a response, and therefore fear-based. So when we are constantly, whether it's coronavirus or looking outside of ourselves for approval, that is always coming from a fear-based perspective. And so we really need to be doing that self-referral and knowing that we are already perfect. We are already divine with God, with spirit, and from that place, there is no fear. There is no room for fear, only faith. So
yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That was awesome. Thank you so much. I want to now ask, this is such a wonderful show. I'm just so happy. I want to ask Oshuntola to share with her how her life has changed financially, emotionally, globally, and how she share, how the success of her life has just impacted everybody with it. I know it has changed my life in the work that you're doing, in the dedication and the commitment that you're doing to, handling my clients. So I'm so grateful for that. So speak, please, please.
First of all, thank you very much. I was also humbled to hear that you wanted me to talk about the other aspect of my life. In terms of the pandemic, how it's impacted my life, I have had to really readjust to be able to respond to people who are first responders in my mental health practice. So working with folks who are nurses, people who are police officers, people who work in government, and to young people. And so when the pandemic first hit, I made a major move in my life. I moved back to my home state after living in Florida for 17 years, and I got married and became a bonus mom. So personally, it was very revolutionary. And then when it hit, well, actually, when I got here, when I got to my new state at the top of December 2019, it hadn't hit yet. So I was looking for work and had many interviews, but nothing was happening. And as soon as the pandemic hit, I was getting all kinds of calls for teletherapy and for other work that I'd done in the past and had kind of put to the side, which was some fundraising and resource development work. And like many others have spoken, I was very, very busy and had to really pivot and dust off some of my my skills in working with folks who were dealing with trauma and crisis intervention, and had to get to work. So it has been very enlightening. But I will say that after the pandemic became a reality, I was in a space where I was able to, I guess, I kind of had a soft space to lay on because I had been in a real grind mode in my prior living situation. So moving here allowed me to kind of relax, but then I didn't go into grind, but I went into doing work that I really, really do love. And and also learning to live my life in a way that was in line with who I really am. So that's been a very interesting and an enlightening process. So in terms of financially, since I've been busy, things have been good and are rolling. And I'm trying to remember what the other part of the question was. Financially,
Whichever, whatever comes to your spirit. Yeah,
okay, all
financially,
right,
emotionally, and globally, how have you made an impact? And you're speaking it. Yeah.
okay. So globally, I think for me, or just inside, I think a lot of people's faith has been tested, myself included, because I really didn't know how things were going to pan out for me in a lot of different ways. And I think that faith is in action, but it's also in being. And so I really had to, as a lot of us have had to tap into that and help other people to tap into that, specifically through my thinking and helping other people with how they think and how they speak. Because as you think and as you speak is as you are. So I think that we're experiencing a process of shedding globally, and there is a new reality, and there's going to be an even more new reality, transformation. And so in transforming, it's not always going to be pleasant or easy. There's going to be, unfortunately, we've seen a lot of people have died. We've seen a lot of people have gotten very sick. We've seen a lot of changes in our economy, and we'll continue to see changes in our economy. We've had political upheaval, we've had racial upheaval, we've had all kinds of things. But all of those things have to come to the surface in order for us to be able to transform and to change and to be better than we were. So I would say in that, from the perspective of a mental health professional, if you need help through those processes, through this time, there's nothing wrong in seeking help. Nothing wrong with seeking someone to help you through the transition of this time period. And you should absolutely utilize that. You can go to psychologytoday.net. You can go to Therapy for Black Girls. There's all kinds of sources out there. And there's all types of practitioners who are offering their services for free and reduced cost. So there are resources out there, which was another thing that I had to take on. There were people who could not pay me my regular rate. And I adjusted that. You know, I've done a lot of pro bono therapy this year. And, you know, I'm thankful. I'm glad to be able to do that because there's people who are going through a whole lot of things, as we all know. So
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Oh, I feel so warm and fuzzy. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing and the way that you're changing the world. In that African descended people and all people of every race, creed, always need others to live and to thrive. And to our community, it's so important for us to reconnect to the fact that we are community. We are community people. And then traditionally, in all aspects, all cultures, you always had a family or an extended family that you could call on and could check on you and you could talk about what you're going through. But we've been living so isolated and focused on our material gains that we've just been like little beavers trying to make the money, trying to get the right job, trying to live in the right places. And we get disconnected from the fact that we need each other. And the important thing is that we have to change, as someone spoke, we have to change the things that we think are important and start looking at taking care of ourselves, but also connecting to community. That's why I love collaboration. I'm always trying to find some way of holding on to someone and working because I know the value of knowing that somebody cares that you woke up this morning and ask you, how are you? It's so important to have someone in your face saying, oh, what you're doing, you know, you could do differently. Someone in your face that you can ask for help, even when you feel like you don't need the help, that they can come and say, you know what, may I just give you an idea that maybe you could, you know, have a ways of giving you that opportunity for you to be transparent and human and know that you can't do it by yourself. If that's all you're doing in allowing yourself to cut down the ego and not asking, this is what life is about when you live in a community. People see that you need and they will come to your aid, or they'll find a way to say something to you that it will be okay with them, with you. That's when you're living in a community when people love you. People love you, and that you're not in some hero worship community that, you know, whoever got the biggest bag of marbles is who running things. This is what it is. The work that you're doing is so important. And thank you so much for sharing it and giving pro bono, because that, again, as we stated before, is giving is that's the way that you get. Whenever you give, you always receive. And I always believe that good things happen to good people. And congratulations on your marriage. And everybody's saying that in the chat. That is just awesome. It's just awesome, awesome. I'm so happy. Oh my God, this is just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And, you know.
Thank you, Elode. I do want to add too, as well, I don't want to forget about this. Those of you all who have businesses or nonprofits, there's a lot of money that is unspent right now. I was up late the other night and was watching CNN, and they were talking about how over $400 billion has been held back in unspent COVID relief funds. So please, check your local government, check your United Way, wherever, and see what is available, because I've in my other work, I've also been helping people to get funding for their businesses and their nonprofits. And all of my clients, except for one, have gotten some money between 5,000 and 25,000. So, and I expect that in the new year, there will be more COVID relief funds. So
Yes.
check that out.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. She on the watch. She's always the one there writing up the grants and letting you know where you can get some of that money. It's ours. Your ancestors worked hard for it. So
Ashe,
come get it.
get what's yours.
Ashe. Ashe. So next we want to ask Oyabumi to state, and then we'll ask the big Baba after to close us out. Oyabumi, please speak to the gangster of a mom that you are, that you grab your children and all of this, and you just did what you had to do, and doing a retreat in Senegal. Holla.
Alafia, Adupwe, Yalode, Adupwe, Yafulayo, Efulayo, Dr. Bowers, Sahai and her father, Tola, everyone that is here today. Thank you so much. I'm very honored to be able to speak on the same platform as you all. And just Adupwe Yalode for this opportunity. When COVID started, we had just returned from Costa Rica. I had hosted my first self-love holiday retreat down in Costa Rica, and it was this thing that I had been working on as a yoga instructor, as a priestess, kind of bringing all the tools together that I had used just to keep myself sane as a mom of four, traveling, raising my kids, and, just kind of being in the world in a different way. I wanted to share with all of the participants those tools that I use with meditation, with yoga, the concept of self-inquiry, and constantly examining and re-examining and evaluating the self in order to show up more purposefully and more fully in our relationships with our children, with our partners, with the community, just constantly allowing oneself to shed. And I believe that as women, rarely do we give ourselves the opportunity to step away and just focus on ourselves. And so in February, I hosted the retreat in Costa Rica, and I came back. And the next month, I was also living in New York City in Brooklyn when COVID first hit. And my children were in another country, they were in Canada. And so it was very interesting. The last couple of years for me have been super interesting. I embarked upon this journey of self-healing, and I decided that I was going to completely change my life, which looked like me kind of walking away, and decided that I was going to really rebuild myself from the ground up, whatever that looked like. And so the universal timeout happened. And as a mom of four, rarely had I had the experience or opportunity, outside of a vacation or a girls' trip to really just be by myself. And I found myself alone in New York when COVID first hit, which was very interesting because there were so many things happening. As has been shared here, you guys kind of saw what was happening. New York was a hotbed when things first started. And so the one thing that has stood out for me and that stands out for me throughout this whole experience is the pivot. And I feel that the universal timeout has really given us all a unique opportunity to pivot and shift in our lives. And I feel that the people, the entities, the businesses, and so forth that have been able to pivot are the ones that are surviving, that will make it, that will be able to recreate themselves in the way that they need to for the new reality. On a individual level, the pivot for me meant that just more and more it was a calling to really be about what I talk about and really come from just theoretically, giving and sharing information as I would through teaching yoga, but actually really, really living these principles, really, really being about it myself. And I feel that the global time out has really given us an opportunity to do that. I think that in many ways I was prepared, as much as anyone could be. And when I say that, it's interesting. As a mom, I had one son who was attending an African Center private school in New York City, and I had been speaking with them about taking their program online. And I said, well, how cool would it be if kids from all over the world could access this curriculum? You guys should really do it. I had previously had some of my older children, two of my older children had done online classes. So I was championing the school to go online, and that happened. They were able to pivot and shift and take everything online, which was amazing. So my younger son, who was in another country, was able to still participate in his schooling, and just many different things. My way of being, way of eating, have like a vegetarian lifestyle over the years, having come across different products that I have been using, essential oils. Just there's a lot of knowledge that many of us have that we've come across. And now is the time where, we can implement those things, making our own cleaning products naturally, eating more fruits and vegetables, supplementing, dehydrated, fruits, vegetables, and berries. This is something that I had come across years ago. Actually, ELO Day had introduced me to that years ago. And so I kind of felt like I had started to put together this arsenal of self-protection with regards to health, using essential oils, natural products around the home, with regards to food choices, eating fruits and vegetables, just keeping myself healthy, keeping myself active. I've always been into movement. And so that even shifted. I'm a big, big follower of West African dance. And now I take dance classes online with people all over the world. And so once again, people that have been willing to pivot and been willing to shift, I think are more open to the new reality and the newer reality that is all slowly ushering in. I think that it has just really presented us with a unique experience for releasing, letting go. And I know over the past few months, personally, I have released a lot. I decided to leave New York City, but not even that, just what I thought about putting myself out in the world changed. I actually became an essential worker in the city when COVID came because I didn't have the kids with me. And it was an opportunity for me to look at new ways of bringing in income. And so fear, just overcoming who I thought I was, the things that I thought I would do, the things that I'm willing to do. I just think that we all have a chance to really get rid of some of the old paradigms that we've been holding on to that keep us doing the same things over and over again without much success, without much happiness, but we're kind of stuck in those ways. I have this phrase that I like to use about being a yes to spirit, and just really being a yes and releasing the need to look good, like the need to do things that other people agree with, the need to seek validation from other people. I think that this universal time out has really allowed us individually to become more free and how it is that we spend time with our children. Like a lot of us got our kids back, a lot of people never had an opportunity to spend so much time with their spouses, with their children. And so I thought it was interesting. People would always ask as a stay-at-home mom, what do you do all day? But it's like people can't ask that anymore because now they know that there's a lot, like the children require require a lot of attention. They need so much. There's so much that we have to teach them. As Gail shared, there's so much that we need to be doing for ourselves, and it's a family affair. Everyone needs to be involved. The children need to know about better ways of eating. The children need to know the importance of eating their fruits and vegetables. And then also as parents, we need to understand and take advantage of opportunities to fill ourselves up. Because many times we're just depleted. We're depleted giving and giving and servicing and giving and service, but we don't take the time for ourselves. So the level of self-development that is possible right now with the universal timeout, I think, is very unique. I think that many of us who are willing to release and willing to move forward, willing to try new things, willing to have new ways of being, we will have a different experience going into the new year. And I think it's really important. I think, as people, we just need to be more free. We need to be more free. We need to break out of, some of the things that we've been holding on to. Lack of self-care, lack of self-awareness, putting things off until it's an absolute emergency, even in dealing with our own selves. I think that this time has allowed many of us to catch up on that, to dig deeper into that. The impact of the universal timeout, I think, has given many people opportunities just to try new things, different things, go deeper into things that maybe they had barely touched the surface. I was able to go deeper into my personal spirituality, studying to become a diviner, opening myself up more, teaching yoga online, and inviting people to come to take retreat with me so that we can expand this conversation around the level of healing that we need as men, as women. We need a lot of healing as mothers, as companions. There's so much. Many of us have survived trauma. Many of us come from trauma. Many of us create and inflict trauma. And so it has really presented a unique opportunity for reflection and just an evaluation of oneself and how it is that we want to be in the world. What are the things that excite you? What makes you happy? What are your triggers? What makes you sad? What was it? And what is it that keeps you from doing the things that you really, really want to do? What are you afraid of? Why not now? When are you going to do it? Efulayo shared something earlier, and she was talking about her bucket list, and she was saying, maybe some things, I can't do anymore, but it's just a unique opportunity to look at those things, looking at oneself, picking up a book, collaborating with others. I've been able to join book clubs, taking dance classes. And so there's so much. Many people have been able to shift and pivot their platforms to make it accessible. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I love everyone that's here today because everyone has done that. That's exactly what it's been about. Being fearless, overcoming, and just taking that first step towards doing something new, something unconventional, something that you regularly probably would not have even considered, or maybe deeply, secretly you wanted to do it, but you just didn't know how. And we've all been made to kind of sit down to look at and assess these things. How do we take care of ourselves? How do we feed ourselves? How do we nourish ourselves? Because us as individuals, just one person, we add to community. So what are you bringing into a community? And I know for myself personally, I just want to bring my best self, knowing that I've done some work behind the scenes so that when I come into contact with groups, community, organizations, I'm putting my best foot forward, doing my own personal work, because we have to do that. If not, you know, we can go big, but then there's breakdown because we haven't really built things up properly. And I just think as a people, we have such a unique opportunity to just get focused on us. What are the things that concern us? what's best for us? What do we need collectively? How can we come together around the things that we need for our families, for the future? And so it has been devastating. I've been affected by COVID. I have friends, family who have come down with COVID. I just went to a virtual funeral the other day from someone who was affected by complications. There have been virtual weddings. You know, it's amazing how we can shift. It's amazing how when we're open, we can really tap into this flow of life, regardless as to what's going on. There's a pandemic that's happening, but being open and not shutting down allows us to stay in the flow. And I think that that has been one of the larger gifts of COVID-19 is really, you know, finding your flow and allowing yourself not to be stuck and moving along. We have to move along with it. We're getting new information, you know, weekly, daily. And so how can we, it's like we're all being asked, how can you in the moment, you know, moments, am I going to break down? Am I going to pivot? Am I going to shift and go in another direction and keep it going? And that doesn't mean that you're not acknowledging how you feel. It doesn't mean that you're not acknowledging what's really happening, but you're just allowing yourself to move in a way that is not restrictive. And for me, you know, it can look crazy. It can look unconventional. People could say, well, why would you do something like that? Why would you leave the certain for the uncertain? And I just think that this universal time out has really presented us all with that opportunity. And so I'm really, really honored just to be able to speak here and to hear the account of Gail working on the front line, what that's been like, you know, for her and the ways that she had been preparing with her whole lifestyle. So it's so interesting. Many of us are fully tapped into our destinies, these little pieces all along the way we've been introduced to. And now it kind of makes sense, you know, it's like, oh, I had that already. I knew about that. Okay, I'm going to bring that back. And so along the way, many of us have been exposed to things that we need right now, but because we're not paying attention, you know, we miss out. And so it's just a really wonderful time to be aware, to dig deeper into one's spirituality, connect with other like-minded people. And I'm excited to see, you know, what is next. How are we going to help one another? How can we be happier? You know, how can we be better, you know, better parents, you know, better lovers, better companions, better daughters, better sisters, better brothers. And so it's just a time for us to really get back to things that hold us together. But at the core of that, the individual. And so the whole concept of working on self to me has been the biggest gift of COVID-19 is the opportunity for self-reflection and the opportunity with others in a new way, in a different way, because we're evolving the ways that we can be together. Oh, we can't be together without a mask, so we're going to get together, or we're going to wear masks, you know. Oh, we can't gather inside. Okay, we're going out into open spaces. And so we're just being challenged by the universe. And so how do we respond? And so I'm excited for that. I'm excited because it's like we have to think and we have to collaborate, and it's necessary. And so all of us need, as Gail said, nutrition, you know, exercise, and getting into nature. And I'll just swing right into my self-love holiday retreat. And it's really all about that.
Ashe, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that, for your sharing on Yabumi. Shift. Grab the shift and just shift. Pivot, because that's the way we'll survive. And as she says, use the tools that you're using. The new year's coming up. She's excited. We're excited. Moving forward, get your divination, get your reading of the year. Whoever it is that's your counselor, tap into the people that are in here that are giving you their services. Get your reading of the year, your consultations to know exactly what energy is going to be your challenge so you can know how to pivot and what to pivot. Thank you, Oyabumi. I think maybe she went off. Thank you. I would like to ask now Baba Damien to speak, please, on your process. The one man that we have on here, you're going to bring that together, my brother, and how it has worked.
Alafia, Alafia.
Lafia.
Thank you so much, Iyalo Yeyefini, for having me on this program, on this platform. I'm so honored and humble to be amongst a panel of distinguished guests, inspired by you all. In a lot of ways, almost everybody on this panel has been a part of my life and affected me in some ways. So I wanna be thankful for that first and foremost. And just being here, wow, when you invited me to the program and you told me the topic, I'm like, wow, this is so needed at this time, because what we're going through is something that a lot of us never experienced before. And the trauma that it brings, trust me, it's something that for generations to come, our children, we will be telling them about the situation. My youngest child will be telling their children about the situation that they've been through. And for me, I love how you coined this whole universal timeout, because words are important. Words create and words destroy. And we have to be careful in how we say things and how we evoke the powers that comes with the word. In reading the book, The Four Agreements, you say you have to be careful how you speak. Your words have to be purposeful, right? Right. So I'm glad that you coined the phrase universal timeout, because we have to look at it and shift the way we are this experience that we're experiencing. And for me, the first time when it happened, I'm like, okay, I call it a global pandemic, because I'm like, okay, these people getting ready to try us hard. I'm like, yo, we see the building blocks to this coming. We see all the things that's going on in the world politically, socially. We see all the racial injustice going on in the world. And we see one of the leaders of the free world, how he's posturing to even our allies and even to those that we're in conflict with. Well, I should say they're in conflict with, right? So a lot of the roadblocks and all these things that's coming up, and then this happened, right? And when this happened, it was like, okay, they're trying to overload us our psyche with all this trauma, just trauma on top of trauma, school shootings, all this going on, as my daughter just explained earlier. And a lot of these things play on our psyche, and it affects us in how we live our lives, that we can't even see a sense of self. And then everything became fear-based. Everything that we see going on is all based on fear, right? So as I started to get into this whole situation, I'm like, okay, I was planning on going to Africa, because my wife and I, we host a tour every year to Africa. And we had a tour coming up, and now this situation happened, and we're like, oh wow, we had to cancel our tour. We're also have some investments in Africa, because we bought some land and we're working on a diasporan community in Ghana, and we just closed the land deal right before the pandemic hit, and we were supposed to go to Ghana and start the process. So all of that came to a halt. So I'm like, okay, where is this going? Right? What you know what I mean? So then the anxiousness start coming in, right? And the anxiety levels raising, because you start watching the television and all the programming, and everybody is up in arms and just posturing as fear-based with everything that's going on socially, governmentally, and now we had this pandemic coming in, right? So it forced me to starting to take a step back, because it was becoming a bit too much, right? And I had to take a step back and start putting everything into perspective, because they would twist us around by how they carry on with what they're putting out in the media, right? As a propaganda machine. So we don't know if this thing is a real thing. We don't know if it's fake, because you got various news going out and propagandas going out about it. Now, when it started coming close to home, and I had people in my family, I lost members in my family to COVID. So it became real. I lost my uncle, as a matter of fact, the day of my birthday. So it became real. It came home, right? My mother-in-law was recently tested for COVID, right? Thank God that everything worked out for her, and she's now COVID free, right? She tested negative. So when it started coming in so close to home, and you start seeing everything up close and personal, it becomes a bit nerve-wracking. Sister Gael, I know Sister Gael for years. She's on the front line. My wife and her have a good relationship, and they'll stay in touch, and she'll tell us her experience, and we're like, wow. Just hearing it from her eyes, you know what I mean, put it more into perspective of how serious the situation is, right? So the fear, at some point, mentally, it breaks us down, and then it causes us to start panicking and start doing things out of character and out of sync. So the best that I could start doing for myself is to start going within and start taking back the reins, because in doing a lot of work on myself prior to the pandemic, right, and coming into this universal timeout, where that when we first spoke about it, and I heard you use that term, I like, wow, this is something real. This is something that is a reset, because how the world was moving chaotic, we needed a reset, whether it's a pandemic or not, right? You know, they have a saying that said, when man plan, God wipe out. So whatever plan they're coming with, we know that the Creator is working within the midst of everything, right? And those who could see and understand will know how to shift and pivot their life to changing. So for me, I started going within. I was listening to a lot of motivational speakers. One of my favorite was Les Brown, and he had a saying when he talked about fear. He said, "Fear is false evidence appearing real." Right, and that's what I'm saying. When they started with this whole situation, they was playing with our psyche, because they're breaking down our psyche, and breaking down our psyche. Now we become more susceptible to whatever they tell us, because we want something good to happen. We want to come out of this alive. So now they could come and put whatever program they want to put in place. So for me, I was like, okay, this situation is happening. I was supposed to go to Africa. This came up. I couldn't go to Africa anymore. I'm like, okay, so what's my move? They locked down the world. I'm not just talking about America. They locked down the world. So they show us at some point, they could tell us, just like F. Lion said, your whole dreams and aspirations could be put on hold, right? So what you going to do, right? So for me, in going within myself and acknowledging what's going on, I use this time to repurpose my whole existence in terms of how I'm going to deal with the situation, right? And for me, going within, I had to start seeking what's my passion, because what I do as my 9 to 5 is to take care of myself and my family. That's not really my passion, right? In creating a tour with my wife and taking groups to Africa and reintroduce them to the motherland and to the land of their ancestors, that became my passion. And I became passionate about it. I'm like, because I'm very influenced and heavy into Pan-Africanism, and one of my greatest teachers and greatest ancestors, Marcus Garvey, which inspired me within this move. Marcus Garvey and Harriet Tubman. I'm like, listen, man, I'm gonna take up this Underground Railroad struggle for real. So in going through that and see what's going on, I'm like, okay, I had to come back and start redeveloping my whole plan of action. So I'm like, okay, let me dig into this purpose. Let me kind of layer it back and see what's going on. So in doing that and doing my work, because a lot of us, like you're talking about trauma, right? A lot of us came through trauma in our adult lives, in our adolescent life or in our childhood. And for me, in this time out, in able to coming into myself and being with myself and having more alone time instead of being a busybody, because I have so much things going on. I was able to start unpacking and unraveling a lot of things emotionally, right? Because as men, we've been taught to hide our emotions and stuff our emotions in. Man up. You got to be tough. You got to put on a good face. You got to go out and put your best foot forward. And in seeing all this havoc that's going on in the world through the racial injustice, through this pandemic, through the country itself, just going through this whole shift. Like I said, the anxiety level start going up. So I'm like, okay, so unpacking all these issues and unpacking all this trauma and seeing what's really going on and taking a stock of myself and being with my family in a closed setting, because now we're forced to be home together. You're not busy going to work or going to school. You starting to come together and being together more often. And then you start seeing different things that you never paid attention before. So, like I'm saying, in doing my work and being here and going through this whole situation, I started realizing that there's a lot of trauma that I personally had to work through, because a lot of these situations that's going on right now are becoming triggers. And when you start getting triggers, sometimes you don't know where the trigger is coming from, right? So starting to unpacking it and seeing my wife and the work that she's doing for women, and she created a course called Healing the Inner Child for Women. And when she created a course, and me and her processing the course out loud, and she's telling me about it, I'm like, hey, I mean, I think you're onto something with this whole inner child situation. Because in doing my own personal work, I listened to Professor Wayne Dyer, if anybody's familiar with him, and he was saying that we as adults spend our adult life working through our childhood, right? And then when she said that, it struck something with me, because I kind of identify with it, because I'm saying a lot of the things that is going on right now that's triggering me being to be vulnerable, to feeling alone, to feeling that you can't do anything to change it. A lot of these wounds and pain body was really coming back from childhood trauma. And I had to identify that. And then in identifying it, I'm like, okay, so where this started. So I see myself as a fatherless son, because I never grew up with my father. Right. So starting from that standpoint, that I could identify that, I'm like, okay, because I'm now with my children. And when you grow up as a fatherless son, not having that male role model or somebody to model in that light, now there's no manual or book on parenting, right? So you model what you see, and not having somebody to model that, right? A lot of things come up and a lot of things show up in different ways, because now you're here learning on the fly, right? How to be something or be someone that you never really had someone to learn from, or to have someone to pattern certain things, right? So for me growing up, I ended up turning to the streets. I was in the streets, right, looking for a father figure, in essence, right? And then how that translated in my life, it took me on a roller coaster of different situations and brought me into places where that I had no business being in, going to prison, selling drugs, doing things that wasn't uplifting to the community, and hurting my people in the same time and hurting myself. So once I came to the realization of myself and start seeing myself as a spiritual being, like Don said, having a human experience, that I could no longer cause pain or trauma on others and had to start dealing with the trauma and pain on myself. That started my whole healing journey from a spiritual standpoint, right? And in going through that, this universal timeout kind of bring everything into focus for me, right? So going back to my wife creating that course and me doing my work, I started identifying with that. And then she always wanted me to come on one of her live programs that she have on her Instagram, at movements _for _change. She have her program every Monday night, Movement Mondays, and she invited me on the program. And for the month of November, she called it Mental Health, and it gave me opportunity to kind of come out of my shell, because I consider myself to be an introvert, right? And even now I'm here speaking, I'm just moving with spirit, right? So I'm thankful to be here. I'm thankful for actually being here with you, yeah, because you've been a part of my journey as well. So you know me intimately in certain aspects. So in going through my transition and going on her program, it allowed me to speak my truth, right? And in speaking my truth, my real passion is to really help and to bring about change. And I'm saying, what is the most effective way we could change is by changing ourselves. If you want to see the world change, you have to start with yourself. Like Michael Jackson said, you got to start with the man in the mirror, right? So in doing that and going through the course for healing the inner child wound for men, that when she created for the women, we kind of flipped it for the men, and then co-creating that course with her, I was able to go deeper into my healing journey, right? To the point where 2 years ago, if you came to me and say you need to go see a therapist to work through those issues, I'll probably look at you and say, man, therapist, what? You know what I mean? You probably got 2 unkind words from me, right? I don't need to talk to nobody. I'm good, right? I'll talk to myself, right? But then in doing the work, and sometimes you could read all the books you want, you could listen to all the meditation you want, but actually getting the help that you need. Because I was here hitting a brick wall. So getting the help, what's getting the help looking like? Getting the help meaning that you could speak to someone with a non-judgmental ear, that you could actually speak your pain and speak your truth, and being able to process that, right? And put it into perspective, right? Learning how to forgive yourself, right? Knowing how to see that that inner child that you have, and working on that inner child and telling him that it's not his fault, telling that inner child that you love them and that you're there for them and that they'll be okay, right? So one of the exercise was to write a letter to that little boy, that little girl. And when I did, I had to look at it from an adult perspective. I'm like, listen, man, you're going to be all right. You're going to be just fine. Right? So in doing that work, it brought me into my purpose. And now we're launching through all this situation that's going on through this universal timeout. We're launching a course for men, healing the inner child wound for men, which at this time, being in this universal timeout and spending more time with yourself, and seeing a lot of chaos going on, and trying to figure out where a lot of your anger or trigger points are coming from. When you tap in and you go into that pain body, a lot of that is coming from past trauma, whether from, like I said, adolescent or from your childhood. And like I said, being a fatherless son for those of us who didn't had a parent, whether it's their mother or their father in their life. Right? I heard T.D. Jakes put it best. He said, all of us have a wound in our soul, the shape of that parent that's missing, right? And how do we fill that hole? A lot of us come and we go into different spiritual and religious practices to try to fill that wound. But it's never, that's just a mask that we put on. And then sometimes we use that to now become religious narcissists. Like, oh, because I'm this, I'm better than you, and blah, blah, blah. But that's all to mask our pain, right? And in touching in and tapping into that pain, I could start seeing myself and becoming into my authentic self, coming from that heart space, right? And in coming from that heart space, everything became more intentional in my doing, right? Even on the form of manifesting became easier, right? Because now coming through that pain and now transforming that pain and that energy from that pain and pushing it towards my purpose, right? Everything became easier. Anything that I speak into existence work its way out into existence. And because I wasn't coming from that mindset before, because I was so clouded and bogged down in what was going on, right? Bogged down in the pain body, pointing the fingers on everybody else, when you had to take ownership and take responsibility for your life, for your actions, right? And learning how to deal with it from a healthy way. Because, like I said, a lot of us start feeling that wound, that hole in our deep in our soul. We start filling that hole with things that are destructive, right? So we had to learn. I had to learn how to fill my cup, and I had to fill that cup first by loving myself and forgiving myself, right? Because, like, when I'm gonna quote Wayne Dyer again, he said, if you squeeze an orange, you're going to get orange juice, right? So when we're in this situation, we're being squeezed. If we have anger, frustration, hatred, that's what's going to come out. And you cannot give what you don't have. So you can't give love if you don't have love to give. So I had to fill my cup up with love so I could pour it back out into my wife, into my children, into my community. So doing this work brought me into this space of acknowledging the pain body, right? Learning how to be vulnerable, because as men, we're not taught to be vulnerable. We taught, like I said, you got to suck it in, man up, toughen up, stop being like a punk, stop being like a girl, right? Right? You're learning to stuff your emotions when we know that our emotions is one of the biggest. It's almost like our five senses. It's a sensory thing where that when you're angry, it's good. When you're mad, when you're sad, it's good, because these things are giving you what you want to call like a thermometer to let you know where you are, whether it be spiritually or physically, right? So learning how to tap into my emotions and not stifling them down, and learning how to communicate effectively, right? Because in learning and understanding, there's 4 ways to communicate. You could be either a passive communicator, you could be an aggressive communicator, you could be passive aggressive in your communication, or you could be assertive. And when I mean assertive, meaning that speaking your truth, right? Saying what you meaning what you say, but say it nice, right? That's what I learned, right? And in learning how to communicate and being true to what I'm saying, and saying it in a way that's not going to offend anyone, because a lot of us use our truth and our rights to beat people up with it, right? So we have to learn how to use our truth and be gentle, because everybody's in pain. Everybody's working through something, right? So you don't know what that person is coming through when they're communicating to you. So sometimes we're taking things personal. And that's another thing in the books, the 4 agreements, is not to take things personal, because sometimes people coming at you and they're really projecting their pain body on you, right? But like I said, these things become trigger points for us. So in learning how to effectively recognize our trigger points and working through it, to me was the biggest help. And in doing so, like I said, I'm able to start manifesting what I want to manifest into existence despite what's going on. I was able to buy land in Ghana, West Africa. That's where we do our tour. We bought over 7 acres of land, and now we're working with architects and engineers.
Right? Thank
So
you, Baba. Thank you. Thank you. You are the truth. You are the manifestation of everything that we said. That your life is going to show exactly what you've been doing, what the work you've been doing.
yes.
Oh my God, this has just been amazing. I wanted you to be the last to wrap it into the healing of, we need healing, but the healing of the man, of the male, of the boys. That which you just spoke was beautiful. And everyone that knows you know the transformation that you've been through. So everyone join you on your program at your platform. Because when I spoke with your wife, I was like, oh, I got to get him on the show. Some kind of way. I want him to have his own show, remember? So this is just beautiful. This has been an amazing day for me to see this, because it's all about healing. It's all about community. It's all about shifting and knowing that you have the ability to manifest what you want. Just
Yes.
take that time and go in. That's universal timeout. That's what I saw. When I first heard it, I said, this is just like, when children are misbehaving in class and you say, sit and face the wall, you're in timeout. That's exactly what we had to do. Sit and look at the wall and know who we are. Collaboration is the most important thing right now for us. Healing, we have to heal. And this is the opportunity for us. That's why I believe so much in collaboration and the need for community. This is time for us to get together and buy land. This is time for us to grow our food. This is the time for people who will have a commonality together to come together. I am collaborating with Ashe Ire. So go on my platform, Yeyefini.com, and on AsheIre.com, and know the kind of work that we're doing. We are here in North Carolina, just doing the work. Just as you're saying, is that shifting your paradigm, doing the work within, using the medicine, using the tools.
Yes.
Using the tools, and that's the way that we're going to be able to see ourselves through this. Don't think about, this is what I'm going to do when it's over. No, it's not even about what is over. What are you doing now? What are you doing now to make that difference? How you shifting? How you holding yourself accountable? How you're eating? How you being gentle with yourself? So Ashe Ire and Yeyefini.com working together, community. Ta-da! So that's what we're doing here. And just, the work that we're doing, we have done the work, in transforming and doing with Communiversity. That's what Communiversity is about. That's what Yeyefini.com is about, is people who take this culture and understand that the medicine works and making it in such a way that everyone can have it. Be in the classroom, make it affordable, make it consistent, and make it real. Not hero worship, not going into drama and not going into dogma, but just to know that African spiritual system works. Fulayo, you've been doing the work all these years. Harvard University, giving us their paper that says, okay, when we are speaking, we need someone that has been to our institutions to speak for us. We have been doing it all along, but we needed that. This is what the ancestors brought us. And for me, my dream has always been to have young people like Fulayo, Dr. Fulayo, who are ready, passionate, are doing the work, and are ready to take over the practice for the elders. I've been praying for that for the past 8 years. It is here. Fulayo came and kept telling me, yeah, you got to stop doing the things the way you've been doing it. I'm not, in my head, I'm 40. My body is like, you're a seasoned citizen. Time to sit down and let the young people take over. I'm so happy that Spirit heard us and joined us together. So say something about our friendship and our relationship.
Oh, yeah. It's just an honor and a pleasure to have you as an elder, as a mentor, as a teacher. And this is what it's all about. When we talk about coming together as community, when we talk about living the medicine, this is it. So we have come together physically, spiritually, and in so many ways. And I want to encourage those of you. I'm so happy to hear Baba Damon speaking about the land and the community coming together. Oya Bumi, everyone who has spoken about us coming together, about community coming together. This is it. The Western paradigm of lone soldiers doesn't work for us. That's not African. And so move an elder in, move close to your elders, move close to your children. Really let us really come together and let that be one of the biggest things that we take out of this time.
Yes. So thank you everyone for a wonderful show. Ask Yeyefini show. And it's just, I love it. I love it. Y'all that know me personally know I get so excited about some new adventure. So I am on a new adventure. I'm in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We got the land, we got the food, we got the people, we got the interest, the passion. So join all of the classes, come to it, help us farm and help us grow. This is to take care of old people. Old people that think they're 40 in their heads need to sit down and get the younger people to do all of the work that we need to do. I can't be my finger here now is telling me you can't sacrifice not one more chicken. I think that the chickens went to chicken heaven and says, yeah, sit down, leave us alone. This one finger is letting me know it's time to sit down and let other people, young people, do it. Thank you so much, all of us, you, the seasoned citizen like Efulayo. We're looking for you as well. Efulayo is gratefully ready to hand it over to y'all, to the young people who are ready to do the work. So thank you so much. It's been so warm and fulfilling for me to do this show today and give you all the great reveal as to where in the world is Yalo de Yeyefini. I am moved out of the Bay Area and I am in North Carolina. I can see my grandchildren and my friends, and I got my little black woo-hoo, and my little vision from my NLP said to visualize yourself there, and I'm there. You know, Rona is back. I feel so good and so happy. I could just get up and dance. So let's not think about when this is out, because it could go on, because the new normal, the new 2020 is completely, 2021 is completely different. 2022, 2023 is different. Let's embrace it now. Make that change that you want to do. It's going to change you spiritually, emotionally, and holla, financially, it will be smacking. Trust me. Trust me. I have been so busy. That's why I had to get all my classes to be done by the students. That was a way of me releasing and giving myself the opportunity just to do readings, and then y'all can do the work. So thank you everyone for being on the show. Gael stayed on. Thank you so much. Funlayo, Dr. Funlayo, Dawn Bauer, Dr. Dawn, we already called you into it. Sahai, Baba Damien, Oyabumi, Oshuntola, all of my wonderful, wonderful friends, colleagues, inspirers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Modukwe, may you continue to be the global changers that you are, and make little global changes. Get some other little people to be just like you. So thank you, Odabo. Have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rest of the year. Get your readings for 2021. 2021 is going to be a beautiful year. Get your readings. Odabo.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.